but that's going to be very difficult. And even defensively, as good as that defense has been, the fact that, I say the best player on that defense is suspended for the entire year, and that's Darrell Washington, and Darnell Dockett's gone for the entire year. So they've done an amazing job, but I don't know if they can sustain it just because of some of the hits they've taken injury-wise. But, on the other hand, you have to look at San Francisco in that division has come back to the pack. St. Louis has already lost their quarterback, as we know, are down to their third-string quarterback. So I think they have a very good chance to make a push for a wild card. But as far as being a serious contender, I just think there's too many injury issues.
John McMullen from the Sports Network. As usual, a fun conversation. Browns head into the bye, but there's a lot of football action coming up here this week. Some great games on tap, and the season is rolling on, man. And I can't wait to join you again next Monday. Same usual time and channel here. We'll do the thing, and we'll talk about some Week 4 action and look ahead to the Browns as they get back at it with the Titans. John, enjoy your Week 4 action, and I look forward to having you back in a few days.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Thank you. John McMullen from the Sports Network. You guys can always tweet with him at JFMcMullen, at JFMcMullen, and you can find, of course, we tag him on our Twitter. If you're looking for the shortcut, just come find us, and we'll lead you to the man himself, John McMullen. We're going to take a break, lead you to some news. We'll lead you to some water so you can drink, and then we'll come back. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan going to join us here. We'll talk about his thoughts on the Indians here and all of that stuff. Buckeyes, Cincinnati preview coming your way next, and so much more with Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan coming up after the news here on the Sports Fix.
And now, a very special announcement from the Sports Fix.
Black bears weigh between 200 and 500 pounds. Brown bears weigh between 300 and over 1,000 pounds. Black bears run away from you. Brown bears run at you. When attacked by a bear, simply lie still on the ground and cover your face and head with your hands. When the bear is finished batting you around and mauling you, contact the U.S. Forest Service.
And that was a message from the Sports Fix.
Hey, this is Scott Fujita, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Business owners and professionals, do you want to take your business, your product, your team, your event to the next level? You want to advertise right here with the Sports Fix. Our listeners are among the most loyal listeners, terrestrial or internet. The Sports Fix universe is not only the radio show, but tens of thousands of fans on Facebook and Twitter. Email me, Jerry Myers, thesportsfix@AOL.com. That's thesportsfix@AOL.com. And let me help you swing for the fences and hit it out of the park right here on the Sports Fix.
Sports Fix listeners, do you tweet? So do we. So tweet with us 24/7 at the Sports Fix CLE.
Whether it's an oil change or a new set of tires, Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck has you covered for your automotive car care needs. They're your neighborhood quick service experts. They also offer a low price tire guarantee. Choose from 13 brands, and if you find the same, Quick Lane at Valley Ford will refund the difference. They're open late Monday through Thursday until 9 p.m. and open early Saturday so you can check it off your to-do list and get on with your day. They also have a newly remodeled service lounge and additional service bay just for Quick Lane oil changes. Quick Lane at Valley Ford Truck is located at 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. 5715 Canal Road, right under the 480 bridge in Valley View, just down the road from Independence. Come see why life is better in the Quick Lane. QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck. That's QuickLane.com/Valley Ford Truck.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Signs and Ship, the official printing source of the Sports Fix. Locations in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Florida. Find out more at signsandship.com.
News break. Good morning, I'm Bob Picozzi. We have some breaking news. The attorney for Florida State quarterback Jameis Winston says his client will cooperate with the university's Title IX investigation into allegations that he raped an FSU student in 2012. This, according to ESPN and TMZ. The state's attorney determined that there was not enough evidence to prosecute. After missing the postseason for 20 consecutive years, the Pirates will be playing in October for the second season in a row. Last night's 3-2 win in Atlanta clinches at least the National League wildcard spot. Center fielder Andrew McCutchen is third in the league in batting.
This is something that, we were looking forward to and something that we really, really expected to do. So it wasn't a big surprise to us that we were able to just be able to come out and be able to win. And, we're a very strong team. We know what to expect. And, I definitely think it's going to help us out in the long run.
Pirates are only a game and a half behind NL Central leader St. Louis. The Vikings put quarterback Matt Castle on injured reserve this morning. He'll miss the final 13 games. Rookie Teddy Bridgewater starts Sunday. Cowboys cornerback Maurice Claiborne, who left the team's facility yesterday, returned to the team this morning, according to ESPN and multiple reports.
Tell Dr. Pepper your one-of-a-kind goal at drpeppertuition.com for a chance to compete to win up to $100,000 in tuition. No purchase necessary. Changing students' lives so they can change the world. Dr. Pepper, always one of a kind.
Now, back to the Sports Fix.
Rolling.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix, live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock back with you as we roll on. Thanks to John McMullen from the Sports Network for joining us. He usually with us on Mondays. He's with us on Wednesdays. Midweek chat with John McMullen. Always fun. Going to have another fun conversation with Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan here in a minute, which means you guys can keep the conversation going on social media. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. We're going to talk to, like I said, Dan Wismar in a minute about some Indians and the all the happenings there. We'll talk about what may be the best just the best quarterback name that I've come across in quite some time, Gunnar Kiel. I mean, come on. If you're that's born and put in the cradle to be a quarterback as far as I'm concerned. You might as well have had that kid sleeping with a football. A quarterback named Gunnar, that's a marketing department's dream. But that's what's on the other side for the Buckeyes, another in-state opponent here. They take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. We're going to preview that. We'll talk some Tribe and whatever else Dan Wismar wants to talk about. He calls the shots on Mondays and Wednesdays when he joins us on the Sports Fix, just like you guys. See? Now I'm going to give the mic to him. I'm going to do it right now. Go into the phones. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan with us now. Dan, how you doing?
Doing great, J-Rock. Good to be with you.
Good to have you here, as always. I mean, I'm sure you're not, great may not be the definition of how you're doing today. You're probably, adequately okay, not falling off the ledge.
That's because I was at the Progressive Field last night, and things obviously didn't go well. I think we can now fairly say that that we're playing for statistics and for numbers here down the stretch. My beef today, Jerry, is kind of not with the players on the Indians or with the manager of the Indians, but it's really with the front office of the Indians. I think we saw Tyler Holt. We saw Chris Jimenez. We saw Zach Walters. We saw, guys that shouldn't be playing at the major league level for a playoff team, at least, getting games and at bats. And I feel sorry for Tito Francona that he had to run these guys out there every day. J.B. Shuck, for heaven's sake. I mean,
I know.
Down the stretch, we saw Kansas City acquiring the Willinghams of the world, and we saw the Indians acquiring the Walters of the world. We were trading for prospects, and understand the thinking, Jerry, and you do too. You have a farm system that's not terribly strong. It's an average farm system right now, but it's very depleted at the upper levels, and you don't have a lot of major league ready prospects ready to go here. coming into 2015. So you're trying to help yourself by getting some of those guys, whether that's a Ramsey, the guy that you picked up when you traded Masterson, who's a corner outfielder, and goodness knows we need those. But it seems like, in retrospect, the Indians did not, Antonetti and Shapiro did not give Tito a very strong lineup to try to finish. I think they almost surprised themselves that they were in contention for the wild card as long as they were. And, the result was coming down the stretch with starters like Tyler Holt, who started many games, and Ramirez, who's a nice young player but a prospect and arguably a 4A player. And then guys like Shuck and Jimenez, these guys just shouldn't be on any playoff team's roster, least of all getting key at-bats and key starts. Starting Jimenez at first base the other night, for heaven's sake. It's almost like Tito's cry for help in the wilderness. What do you think about all that? I mean, I just it's frustrating that the Indians didn't do more and didn't act more aggressively to shore up at the very least the bench for Tito when he lost the guys like Murphy and Swisher and Kipnis for long stretches down the stretch.
Well, I don't know at what point you started listening today, but in my early, opening up the show before I went to the phones, that was something that I said, I know they maybe they can't, maybe they won't, whatever, admit it publicly, but I mean, looking at the way the trade deadline played out, I honestly think that they looked at it much like a lot of pragmatic thinkers looked at things at the trade deadline, much like, Mike Brandenberry sat there and said, hey, okay, what trade when you've got this hole and that hole and this hole, and realized at the trade deadline, the Indians were not in the position. I know you could say, oh, well, they were only 6 games back or whatever, but they were not the same Indians team that they became in the next month after the trade deadline. And I think if the Indians front office truly had any inkling or belief that was going to continue to get stronger instead of meander around that up and down kind of area where they were, then I do think they may have attacked the trade deadline differently. But I honestly felt that I just look at it and say, man, you can't admit to the public that you didn't believe, but I truly think they believed there was a ceiling on what they were going to do in the last 2 months of the season, and it wasn't worth trading away prospects to try to bring in a rental or get somebody that's only a slight improvement. I think if anybody could have tapped them in their sleep and said, listen, you're going to be the final week of the season controlling your own destiny, I guarantee you if they thought that was in the realm of possibility, they'd have made a move. I just don't think they thought that the team was going to, because they didn't have any reason to, based on how the 3 quarters of the season before that had gone. They were a relatively 500 team, maybe a hair up or a hair down for most of the way up until then. That starting pitching just started to really take that next level right after the trade deadline, if you think about it.
Oh, you're so right, and no one would have bet the ranch on Carlos Carrasco, for example,
right.
Having the best ERA in the major leagues for a month and a half, starting in the first week of August. Having 8 consecutive, brilliant starts under his belt. No one saw that coming, and the whole rotation really rounded into form. And now you've got all of Major League Baseball starting to notice the Indians pitching staff, which I don't know, you probably mentioned this in the open, I didn't hear, but they're 14 strikeouts away from setting an all-time Major League record for strikeouts in a season, which they surely will blow right by with 4 games to go. You almost guarantee that they're going to get 15 strikeouts over the next 4 games. When they get almost that many, every time Kluber goes out there. So it's remarkable how it's come together. And I was noticing this last night. People start tweeting, "Hey, the Indians are only 20, or I guess at the end of the game now, 14 strikeouts away from the all-time record for strikeouts in a season by a pitching staff." But yeah, back to the point. I believe, like you, that they didn't think they had a shot. That when they traded Masterson and Cabrera, their two moves, they didn't trade for major league ball players. They traded for Ramsey from St. Louis, and they got Zach Walters, who might be a nice looking player, might result in being something someday, but he's not ready to start in the major leagues every day right now. and they weren't thinking about starting him every day in the major leagues right now. Unlike Kansas City, it goes after a Willingham, a right-handed power bat that came right in immediately, won him a couple of ball games, and I'm not sure how he's done down the stretch. And I also don't know what Kansas City gave to Minnesota to get him off the top of my head. But whatever it was, they shored up their team and helped themselves down the stretch, and the